Today is Wednesday, Parashat Mishpatim. In the parasha of this week, there is a portion about the Eved Ivri, about the Jewish slave. If a person stole, and in judgment he is liable, he has to pay back, but he's not able to pay, then he can be sold as a slave to pay back the amount of money that he owes. But the maximum years that he could work is 6 years, and on the 7th year, he goes free. A person could also have sold himself as a slave, and again, 6 years he works, and on the 7th year, he goes free. But we should know also that in the Torah, a slave is not what we think usually as a slave, but you have to be compassionate towards him, you have to be kind to him, you have to, if you have only one pillow, you give it to the slave rather than you sleep with a pillow. And also when he leaves at the end of the time that he worked for you, you have to give him a kind of a profit sharing in what he worked with you. You have to be very careful not to overwork him. Even, if you need 1 cup of water, you cannot ask him to bring you a bucket, etc. But at the end of the 6 years, he goes free. But let's say if he refuses to go free, he prefers to stay with you, he has the comfort, for whatever reason, maybe even while he was with you, he had children with a maidservant that you gave him, and now he wants to stay, then the Torah tells us that you have to take him to the doorpost and you pierce his ear by boring it through his ear, and then he continues to serve you until the time of the Yovel, until the time of the Jubilee year that comes. What is this thing about piercing his ear? Rashi explains, Why would you pierce his ear compared to all the other parts of the body? Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Ozen zot sheshama al Sinai lo tignov ve'alach ve'ganav teratza. Rabbi Yochanan says, that ear that heard on Mount Sinai, do not steal, and he went and he stole, that ear should be pierced. What about if he sold himself? It was not because he stole. He just wanted to sell himself as a slave. Then, then the reason is because such an ear that heard on Mount Sinai, that we are servants to Hashem, and he went and got himself a master. He should be a servant to Hashem, not to the servants of Hashem. It should be pierced. So 2 reasons are given here. If he stole, he didn't hear, pay attention on Mount Sinai that he says don't steal, or that he sold himself rather than to be the servant of Hashem. He went to acquire for himself a human master. In both cases, that's the reason why you pierce his ear. But if he stole, shouldn't his hand be punished if he stole with his hand? Why specifically the ear? And here's a very important concept to understand. Many times we hear things, but we don't pay attention. We don't heed. We don't absorb what is being said. The hearing through the ear, it's not just a physical process, that the reaction of the eardrum to having sound waves come its way. It's actually hearing and taking in what is being said, absorbing it, and then acting accordingly. Hearing is a very important aspect in this context. Last week's parasha, Yitro, Vayishma Yitro heard. He didn't just hear the news of what happened in Egypt, and Hashem saved the Jewish people from Egypt, and the parting of the Red Sea, and the Amalek. He didn't just hear it as news coming through and that's it. He heard, he understood the message, he understood the lesson, and then he acted accordingly. That's what hearing means. So that's why the ear is being pierced here, because unfortunately this person did not understand the lesson, did not absorb the concept, and that's what hearing is about. There is a saying that the Jewish people said that we sing the Torah, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and then we will hear. and it's a known explanation. Naaseh, we will do, we're willing to accept the terms of the Torah, even if we don't understand them, and then afterwards Nishma, we'll hear, maybe we'll be able to understand. But there is another understanding also of this statement. Naaseh will be involved in action, whatever it is that we involve throughout the day. Work, different activities that we are involved. Nishma, but throughout all of our doing and all our activities, Nishma will continue to hear the word of Hashem. We'll continue to hear the message of the Torah of Hashem. And we'll continue to absorb whatever actions we do. We continue to absorb the lessons of the Torah as an owner's manual for life. So Naaseh will do whatever we do. Nishma will hear the words of Hashem and will act accordingly, according to what the Torah tells us. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.